Mikey and his magic middies. Will they get you over the line this season? Will Jake have Tedesco this week? Maxie, the consistent keeper. Ryan Hadley, Australia's next test fast bowler. Timmy, the 2020 SuperCoach champion. And Savs, the Newcastle. Tommy Turbo tragic.
Are you ready for some football?
We're ready for some football, baby.
All right, here we go.
You're now listening to the SuperCoach Experience Podcast.
What is up, guys? Welcome to the SuperCoach Experience Podcast. I'm your host, Brendan Savage, the coach of the Savage Turbos. We are mere 3 days away from the beloved TLT that we absolutely die for every year. And I'm joined here by a very star-studded panel. I'm here joined by Jake, the coach Kiss My Behinds. How are you, Jake? How are you feeling?
Good, mate. Yeah, only a couple of days away. It was a bit crappy not having any league this week. We had a couple of trials week before, but yeah, I'm pumped for TLT and the season ahead kicks off Thursday.
It's crazy how the last few weekends we've been blessed with footy, and I always say to everyone, trials don't look too far into them, and I try not to watch them, but I miss it the weekend I don't have it. So I watched any footy I had the opportunity to watch on the weekend. So lovely. And we're joined by, we're really scraping the barrel for guests lately. So this guy, he didn't rank too well last year. What did you rank last year? We're joined by the 2022 champion, Matt Wright. How are you, Matt? Matt White. Sorry.
Yeah, there you go, mate. You got it there eventually. Yeah, Nat, top 1%. I think it had a 1 in front of it. It was a good year. We'll see how this one goes, eh?
How are you feeling?
Good, mate. Good. Time's going crazy slowly. Tuesday can't come quick enough. But yeah, I feel like once we get into it, once Tuesday 4:01 strikes, the 27 weeks will fly by, mate.
This year compared to the last few years for yourself, did you only start SuperCoach maybe last year or the year before?
Yeah, so this probably hurts people that have been playing SuperCoach a long time, but last year was only my second year. And, I'm definitely approaching it differently in my third year than I have the previous two. I don't think I'd made a single team by this time last year, waited till TLT come around, and I think I've now owned everybody who's going to put a pair of boots on in any round of the NRL this year.
What do you think? You've had two different preseasons. Obviously, you haven't seen this one out this year, but do you think the preparation is going to help you, or do you think it could be a burden? Because I feel like Timmy, the year he won it, he did exactly the same as you last year. It was kind of last minute, and he went into the year fresh-minded, fresh ideas. How do you think the two different approaches have worked?
Yeah, look, I was chatting with Timmy on the weekend actually, and he's gone back to his winning ways. He hasn't made a team yet, so it'd be interesting to see how that goes for him. But to be honest, I don't have the highest of hopes for the year. I think it's been enjoyable to get stuck into SuperCoach early. I think the preparation will be better than no preparation, but yeah, I don't think we're going to get a 1 beside us again, but who knows?
There's always hope there, though. You met Timmy last week. You met Wilfred last week. How was that experience? You guys went out to a Dolphins event? Yeah,
it was awesome. I think Wayne was pretty close to giving me a spot on the training trial there. They were looking pretty poor, but it was a good week, good day, mate. It rained. That weather put a damper on us, and got to meet Corey Parker. That was pretty cool. Although I know Wilf was probably a little more excited to meet Corey because I actually wasn't playing SuperCoach when Corey was a big deal. So I didn't have that sort of fanboy attitude that Wilf had to him, but yeah, he was good.
How was the interaction with the Dolphins players? Timmy told me, I got a little word from Timmy that Milford was looking a bit down. Can you confirm?
Yeah, him and Cody were watching an NBA game, I'm pretty sure, sitting in the garden there, and Milf didn't seem like the happiest bloke in town. Jermaine Osako come flying past on a scooter, and he seems like a fun-loving dude. But yeah, Milf didn't. He seemed like he might have just trained in reserves with Katoa, trained at 5'8". I think that's the real deal.
interesting. I guess we'll chat about that shortly. But Jake, the off season's been long. I haven't seen you in a few weeks. We haven't seen Mike in a long time. Forever. Timmy, he'll be in and out through the season. So we're excited to see him come back. But Jake, how's your team looking and how has it changed since we've last spoken?
Well, I can't remember the last one was. It might have been after maybe the first trial round, which we didn't really get much of a gauge on because there was a lot of Reggie's players playing. But I guess it changed a little bit. We in the second trials, you set off the cuff that you don't like to look too much into it, but it kind of gets a gauge on who the coach is sort of favouring, maybe in their shape, the way they're playing, and a couple of players that I guess firmed how much I want to start him. Adam Dewey, he was one, and Cam Murray. Yeah, there's the Campo one. Can't be giving me a bit of trouble. but Cam Murray, I know it was the Dragons, but the fact that he was just doing what he did, in previous seasons and looked even better doing it, he firmed the spot for me. So those are the main takeaways, I think. The fact that we might get a couple more cheapies, Warwick from the Melbourne Storm.
Yeah.
I guess any cheaper we can get is going to be a gold mine, especially in the centre wings. I know front rowers, you're kind of not as good because they're a very, very slow burn and they might not even make much cash at all, but definitely in the centre wing.
Speaking of cheapies, the day after trials, Taylor May was confirmed for an ACL injury. And that week, Taruva had been given his beloved dual centre wing at $275,000. Matt, is Taruva straight into your side?
He will be. I'm hoping the whispers that McLean gets the spot are true because there goes $75K that I can put somewhere. But if Taruva's got that wing spot, I think it's too hard to pass up that $275K plan for the Panthers.
Do you reckon there's a chance that Crichton goes to the wing and Taruva plays centre, or is that a bit of a stretch?
Yeah, I think that might be a stretch. I see Crichton come out the other day saying it wasn't about money, it wasn't about position. He didn't really want to leave Penrith, so I don't think there'll be any hard feelings there. And I think he's a lot better placed in the centres. He did win him a grand final, I guess.
I actually think he's very good on the wing. That's why I suggested it. He played wing for that grand final against the Rabbitohs. That's where he made the intercept. I think he's a lot more involved in the game on the wing with the yardage carries and things like that. But I think regardless, Taruva, if he gets that spot, he's going to be in a lot of sides. But I guess what we want to talk about straight off the bat, Josh Schuster, news has come through that Josh Schuster will miss round 1. What are we doing with him, Jake? There are a lot of ways to kind of tackle it, but I want to hear your opinion on how to go about it.
Yeah, I mean, I have him at second row, and I guess if you have him at second row, you can probably stash him there. If you've always locked him in to potentially be at 5'8", I think that's where you're going to have to do something different, either flip him up and bring in a different 5'8". But I'm probably not going to start with him. I think if there's a cheapie around that sort of 200K to 300K price that I want to maybe get a look at, I'd much rather stay with him. Josh Schuster's not going to get a price rise till round 5, so we can potentially get a price rise out of someone in 2 price rises, and then one of your players you can also they're not going so well, you can punt them for Josh Schuster for that round 5, because I mean a lot of teams I don't think will maybe starting with Schuster. He's going to be a bench player anyway, so I don't think it's going to be that big a loss, I guess, bringing in a different player that you're not going to play that hopefully makes money.
Matt, I want to hear your thoughts on it. Josh Schuster, not named to play round 1 potentially. There's no guarantee he comes back in round 3. And with that, meaning he will get his first price rise in round 5, 6. I think there's so many cheapies, so many mid ranges you can go that you can pass him, and then whatever one fails or scores a try the first week and his rolling average just jumps out very quickly. That's a potential 100K you can bank very early.
Yeah, I don't think you can start with Schuster. I'm worried that if you guys do happen to get me back on sort of around round 5, I'll be 3 boosts down and 10 trades by the way my team's looking. But definitely not starting with Schuster. And I like the call. Like, we're probably going to start with 3-4 mid-rangers in the second row there. So it's a perfect downgrade because you're not going to hit all 4 of them. So even if you've got to go early on Schuster, if he comes back round 3-4 looking okay, and you've got a midi who's going to drop in price, I think it's the perfect downgrade there. But I'll definitely be, when he does come in, I think he'll definitely be in the second row. He just offers a lot more value there because you're right, you probably don't want to play him and you can stash him there at second row 5 or even 6. There's too many high upside guys in the 5'8". I don't want Schuster there. He didn't look that good in the trials. Like, he didn't score that well.
SuperCoach wise, yes, but maybe he's just taking on a different role. Actually, this I've gotten this from the podcast I listened to you today with the champions. Plays more of a like not a link man, but that traditional 5'8" role where he's creating space for his outside players rather than getting the base stats as a second rower.
Yeah, there'd be nowhere near as many runs, and there goes all the tackle busts, I think. And unfortunately, a flick pass, sack Lomax, you don't get extra points for it.
Yeah,
that's going to hurt.
Yeah, that's very good. Is there a world you see where somebody holding him is viable? Like, saving the trade is always like a priority at the end of the year, but at the same time, is it worth saving the trades if you haven't got the money to use it?
He hasn't historically been the world's greatest rehabber either. So I think holding him, who knows when he does come back well. Maybe they do. Like, Cooper Johnson's looked great, and even KO Weeks. So maybe there is a world where they might bring him back off the bench for 20 minutes here and there. But yeah, I don't think he's a viable position to hold with all the buys. You've got to make money somewhere and downgrade to him, I think.
Jake, Nicho Hynes. There's been massive chat, and it's been confirmed that his calf injury has hit Nicho Hynes. He's the world's fittest bloke, and he's come down with an injury. What were your first thoughts? And upon reflection now, what are you doing with him? So it looks like he's going to be out 1 to 3 weeks. He could be named on Tuesday.
Yeah, well, when it first came out, it was going to be 2 months. And as a Sharks fan, I was in panic, man. I was like, there's a good chance we're going to win any games for the first 2 months. But yeah, it was only, I guess, a minor calf injury. The thing with calf injuries, they're very susceptible to re-injury. So depends how fit he wants to go with them. Do you rest him for round 1 and then bring him back round 2? And I guess in terms of SuperCoach, there's going to be big implications. Just say he's named round 1. I think a lot of people may be put off by the injury. So they, I know his ownership's 20, 25%. That may come down a bit because people will be, I'd rather, not risk it on a player that's carrying a potential injury. I'll go with someone else. But it's Nicho Hynes. If you go down that road, like, I probably am not going to start with him. And that could absolutely burn me in the arse because we saw what he did last year. Was the top scoring player.
What are your thoughts on it, Matt? Were you even starting with Nicho Hynes?
Yeah, that's the thing. Even before the injury, I didn't have him. So it's probably not the end of the world for me. The plan always was, again, here's another planned trade, but I think their first 3 rounds are really tough. So I was hoping for sort of one big price drop, get him for 2 easy games, round 4 and 5, and then hold. Did either of you guys have him in your team before the injury?
I did, yeah. I did. And I think just nobody else really appealed to me in that halfback area. And I anti-potted Brandon Smith. So that was one that was playing on my mind for a long time. So if he is out round 1, it makes the decision a little easier, but at the same time, he could potentially be a pod early on, which is a bit scary as well. So I don't know which way I'm going to go with it, but I guess we'll wait and see if he is named. If he's named, I'll probably start with him, but if he's not, it'll make things easier and free up cash elsewhere.
Yeah. Well, it's the 2 best halfbacks in the game have got calf injuries, Brooksy and Nicho Hynes.
Okay.
I actually think Luke Brooks might be a decent option if there wasn't like the Nicho Hynes and Nathan Cleary this year. He's not a bad shout. He's got a good draw to start off and a nice pack to run off.
I like that. I got him like pick 170 in one of my drafts, so hopefully he is good. Sorry, Jake, I cut you off there.
No, I think he's in for a good year. The way the Tigers are set up, I think they're going to outscore teams. That's how they're going to play. So I think they're going to throw the ball, attack, which for halves, I think that spells points. And I guess there's a few whispers that, we're going to let Brooksy run the ball, which is sort of his main and best asset. So I think in terms of Supercoach, I wouldn't be starting with him, but I think he's in for a decent year. He does cop a lot of crap, especially from Tiger supporters, but I think he's in for a pretty good year, Brooksy.
And he's actually, I actually started with him 2 seasons ago, if you remember, Jake. And he did well for me. So I started the year and I peaked at, I think, 150th or something with him in my side. So, it can be done with Luke Brooks. Guys, we're going to talk about fullbacks today. I feel like we've talked about so much in this preseason and everybody else has talked about so much that everybody's chosen their fullbacks, let's be honest. And nothing we say today is going to change anyone's opinion. But we've got to do it. We've got to get through it. We're going to take the tough carry. But first, we have a new sponsor on board, PickleBet. As you see in that top right-hand corner, they are Australia's up-and-coming bookie, and I love what they're doing over there. I had a meeting with them on Friday, and I just love their vision. They're all about content. They're not the betting side of things is not their priority, but they're still building that. So currently, they have a lot of markets in like rugby league, everything you can pretty much think of. They don't have same-game multis at the moment. They know that's a bit of a letdown for them, but they're working on it. So work with them, and they're growing. They're growing, and I love what they're doing. They have a studio in Sydney that we're going to record some content in the future, which, Jake, I haven't told you about this, but it's very exciting. I'm very excited for this. So, go over to their TikTok and their Instagram, have a look, and they've got really good content, and we're going to be part of it. So I'm stoked for them to jump on board. If you sign up using our code, there's no actual code yet. There's a link in the description. If you sign up, that really helps us out, helps the show out. So please jump over if you're going to have a punt. Do it responsibly, gamble responsibly, over 18, all that sort of business. Let's go into the fullbacks. Matt, who are you starting with a fullback?
So the first one's pretty common. I got Teddy, and then left field we're going Lockie Miller. Is my fullback on the bench.
I like
trying
it.
to get a piece. Yeah, that buy. They got a good draw, right?
Yeah. I like it. So Lockie Miller, he was one in the trials that actually really impressed me. I think his positioning and just his positioning, it was just really impressive for me. And he was there, he was ball playing, he was backing up. Why do you like him?
He's busy. And I think there's not going to be he's not smooth as such, but he's just busy. There's going to be tackle busts. There's going to be plenty of hit ups. So I think he's 28 or 27, trying to make a name for himself late in the game. So I think he's going to get if he doesn't get onto that Newcastle draw, I don't know who can.
So with the draw of the Warriors, Tigers, Dolphins, Raiders, Manly, Warriors again, Jake, Lockie Miller, what are your thoughts?
I don't mind it, but he's available at centre wing, which is kind of I'd rather have a fullback, if they're available at centre wing. So I guess why have you decided I'm playing him at fullback instead of centre wing?
I honestly just can't find anyone else that I want round one at fullback. I want Turbo, but I don't want to miss out on the round 2 bye. I don't have no one there. I want Trell, but their first 5 rounds are tough, although he was matchup proof last year, but I'm hoping for a little bit of a price decrease there, a slow start for the Bunnies. I don't want Drinkwater. I think he's priced at his absolute max. They have a great draw, so if he's ever going to meet it, it'll be early, but he's priced at his max, I think. Who else is there? Anyone got any other names?
Well, I actually currently in my side at the moment, which is similar price. You're actually getting a discount here, but Reece Walsh.
Yeah, he's definitely going to get more attack, you would think. He loses a goal kick. What's that? Sort of 6 to 8 to 10 maybe base stats gone.
It could be, but I think, I just with Walsh, I just think he's going to be in a better position to score more points. He's not going to kind of be You know how under 12s where they're getting the ball and they've got to make it from themselves. He's already going to be in the position to do something. So he's injured, so I'm not sure if he's going to be named the first week. With a draw of Penrith, Cowboys, Dragons, Dolphins, Tigers, Raiders, Titans, Para. Now, I think just the early draw I like him for, but Lockie Miller, I really like the shout. Have you got a gun in your center wing that doesn't allow you to shift? No, you just don't like anyone else.
I just don't like anyone else at fullback. I've got Val and big Greg Marju up there in the center wings. But, yeah, I just don't like anyone else. Hey, if I can get a couple of price, the plan is to get him to round 5 and turn him to Trell. But the Reece Walsh shout's not bad. Once they get through the first 2 games, it opens up, doesn't it?
It really does. And I think, like, they're both at – actually, no, the first one is a blue bet, but Suncorp is round 2. And I just really – or is it even Suncorp? I don't know. But, yeah.
Prodigal son.
Yeah, I just really like it. But Lockie Miller, I love the shout, and I love the plan. Jake, what are your thoughts on it as a Shark supporter?
Oh, well, I mean, I wish we had him now. We don't really have a backup fullback now because Kate Dykes went down. But I don't mind him. I would prefer to have him at centre wing. I guess it frees up. You know, you're getting a fullback in the centre wing, which is kind of, I guess, a less exciting position because we have so many, I guess, guns at fullback. Again, I'd love to have Latrell. I think the price is kind of what puts you off. You're paying an extra $300K for Latrell, where you can go Turbo, Miller, Walsh, even Kalen Ponga, who's got a bit of jewel now, for far less. But I guess on that, no for Ponga, Matt?
No for Ponga. I'm just really scared of a HIA in the 10th minute and getting a 10 from him. I can't do it.
I've heard whispers that even though Hastings kicked in the trials, Ponga is still potentially going to kick come round 1.
He was good for me last year. I had him in for sort of a 4-5 run swing there, and he probably averaged mid-70s for those 5 weeks. So I definitely do have some KP love. It sounds weird, but I'm probably starting the year with not the guys that I think are going to be the 2 best averaging fullbacks. If you ask me who the 2 best averaging fullbacks are, I probably don't start with either of them, which is like guaranteed for trades, but yeah, just trying to jump on some draws.
Well, I think that just sums it up, what you said about Ponga. You had him last year for a 4 or 5 game stretch. You won the thing with Ponga, and he averaged, 30 odd last year, or 40 odd. 50. So the fact that you had him in that stretch where he did really well means you capitalize on it. So just because it is round 1, it doesn't mean that you need the people who are going to average most throughout the season. So someone like Lockie Miller, it doesn't matter that you're not having another fullback. If he's got the run, he's there. If you have him for the right stretch of the year, he's the perfect person to start with in that position.
Jake, if he comes out and goes 40-40, he'll be straight out, mate. He'll be straight out to your trail.
At least he's kind of the price where that's okay to do. Whereas if he's a bit cheaper, it'd be harder to get rid of him. But at a fullback position, you kind of want someone that price. Tedesco, have you ever considered not having him in your side?
No, he was the first one in. Watching the Dolphins and in the trials, it'd be proper FOMO not having Teddy round 1 against the Dolphins, I think.
I'm doing that.
Why, you're doing that?
Yeah.
Savs, mate, I can tell you from a years ago experience, it doesn't end well, mate.
Teddy has only scored over 100 once in round 1 in his whole SuperCoach career. And that was
playing Souths, not the Dolphins.
No, he was playing. Who was he playing? He was playing Manly that year. So I think I don't know. It's obviously a risk, but after the first 2 games, his draw opens up, closes up a bit. So I think that's the reason I've kind of antipoded him, just because round 1 is traditionally low scoring. So if he doesn't have that massive score, then everybody's kind of running. They're running, trying to get rid of him Like, people guarantee if he scores 30 or 40, they'll get rid of him just because they wanted him for that Dolphins round. So I'm just hoping I get through the first 2 games unscathed, and I'll be cheering. But at the price, like Tedesco, he's going to be in your side all season. So, like, there's no reason why you shouldn't start without him. Jake, who are you starting with?
The plain Jane vanilla Turbo and Teddy for me. I'm not mixing around. I know the points Turbo won't play round 2, but not having Turbo for potentially 140 in round 1 at Four Pines on a Sunday afternoon.
Saturday afternoon.
Saturday afternoon. Doesn't matter. At Brookie, I don't want to miss out on those points. And look, I won't have him for round 2, but I think it's more the points. Even I guess missing out and saying, I'll get him before his price rise. Again, I prefer the points.
Cool. Do you think he's going to score that well in round 1? Like, are you that confident?
Yeah, I saw enough from the Bulldogs to say that, they're...
They need time?
Yeah, I don't look that good, the Dogs. And Manly actually surprised me with how good they went in the trial. I thought they were going to be easy beats. They did that without Turbo and without DCE. So add those 2 in the mix. Hopefully, Turbo's come back from his trip to America like Latrell and going to be absolutely on fire. But I think not watching him play that game is going to be quite scary, just like not watching Teddy against the Dolphins like you're going to be, Savs. It'll be a hit and hope, I think.
No way. It's chalk and cheese. Tommy Turbo, 140 plus. Teddy, 30, less than 30. Matt, you said you didn't like Scotty Drinkwater. 746,000. I think every time I go to consider Scotty Drinkwater, I really consider it. Then I look at his price, 746,000. He is at his absolute peak. I think with his run, yes, very tempting, but is that the only reason?
Yeah, it's just price. And I think I could quite easily, if I valued Drinkwater over Val, I swing Lockie Miller up to centres and take Val out and bring Drinkwater in. But I just prefer a goal kicker. Or someone as scary as Turbo and Teddy, right? I think Drinkwater played unbelievable last year, but I don't think there's value.
I think last year, did you have him at any point last year?
Yeah, I did. Back end of the year, probably. Not as early as I wanted him. I wanted him for round 13, and he killed it. So I was dirty about that. But got him in sort of back end. He's just got a really low floor. Like I had him for 100, and I actually didn't play him. Chose him to sit him for. He had a 90, and then I played him the next week, and he scored like 35. I don't think, as much as you joked before, Teddy going 30. I don't think Teddy's got a 30 in him. Whereas I know Drinky does have a 30 in him.
Yeah, with Drinkwater though, I find that for his 100+ scores, he needs 3 try assists at least. And I think that's why I don't like him as an option. Jake, there are a few other options here at fullback. AJ Brimson is one I was very keen on, and he's been in and out of my side all preseason. He's been in and out of my side at fullback and 5'8". 673,000. They've got a friendly draw to start the season, but the Titans traditionally do start slow, and then their big points come towards the end of the season, when kind of everything's done and dusted. Do you see the same kind of thing happening for AJ this year, or do you think he's going to start hot?
I mean, he's not... I don't know. It's a difficult one, Savs. I think he's kind of priced at what you think you're going to get from him. And the Titans, you kind of look at the Titans and you think, oh, God, they could be terrible. They could be also pretty good. They look pretty good in the trial. They were against the Dolphins, though. I think Kieran Foran is going to be good for the whole team, which I think could help AJ Brimson. But I think the fact that he's in the Titans, who I don't predict to go too well this season, I'd rather a more proven fullback, I guess, or a fullback that I don't want to say that does more for their team, but to me, AJ, I guess, I don't know. Mate, why? Why should we go AJ? He's the one that's been in and out of your side.
So AJ actually plays St. George, who everyone's tipping for the spoon. He plays them twice in the first 6 weeks. He also plays the Cowboys, which I'm not completely convinced they're full defensive unit. I think they can leak points here and there. They play the Storm. We don't know how they're going to go this year, but they also played the Tigers in round 1. So it's not the perfect draw. It's a bit of a mixed draw, but the fact that he plays the Dragons twice in the first 6 weeks, I think. Matt?
Yeah, he averaged 105, I think, in the last 4 or 5 rounds last year. They probably played the Dragons twice then as well. So I think it's not a bad shout. He's obviously a bit of an upgrade in price from guys like Reece Walsh and Lockie Miller. But yeah, if you've got 670 or whatever it is floating around, I actually tempted with, I didn't know what price he was because I haven't had AJ in at all. And after all this talk of Burton, I just wanted to see if I could go Burton to Brimson, and yeah, it's not even close. He's an extra 80K, but if you can find it, there's definitely merit in it.
It's because that end of the year, he ended so hot, and it was such a hot streak. I don't think that's what you want to buy him for, and that's what he's priced at, but it's not going to happen at the start of the year, which is it's a bit depressing because we want to find that guy. And we want him to be the guy. He's not going to be the guy. So we'll move on, Jake, to what Corey Parker said this guy was a must-have. At 701,000, Dylan Edwards.
Well, in Corey Parker's defense, they're back-to-back premiers, gets through a lot of work, but he's not really a flashy pick, I guess. He gets through a lot of the tough stuff rather than, involved in all the flashy tries and try assists. It's averaged 70 last year, which I can't believe he done that. He did that pretty silently, in my opinion.
Yeah.
The fact they have a bye sort of early on, you're kind of going to have to rest him, Cleary, and
Taruva.
Yeah, maybe Toto if you're going Toto. So there's a lot of Panthers you're going to kind of have to rest in that round. You're going to be really down on numbers. And I think he's carrying an injury. So he seems to carry an injury every preseason. I don't think he ever plays a preseason, Dylan Edwards, but then he's one of the fittest guys in the team. But I'll leave that one for Corey Parker. He can
The god of SuperCoach. What are your thoughts on Dylan Edwards, Matt? Did you have him at any point as well? Because you had everyone, didn't you?
Yeah, I was waiting for that. Yeah, I did. I burned a lot of trades early and mid-season. I bought him before was the big buy around 13? Yeah, pretty sure he was one of my trade-ins before the round 13 buy with no Cleary. He takes on a bit more responsibility with no Cleary. And you don't know how he does it, but yeah, he racked up 100 there. He's just always there. Finds a way to. He's a great support player. He's not the quickest guy on the field. He's not the biggest guy on the field, but he does rack up points. But what do you average, Jay? You said 70.
He's probably 65 or 66.
Okay.
I think is his average.
He's probably a 58 to a 78 lock, right? He's never going to score 128. But if you needed someone safe, he's not a bad shout. He's probably Corey Parker of the fullback position, I guess.
Yeah, I was about to say that. I think of all the fullbacks, he probably has the highest floor. He has about 30 runs a game, so you're going to get probably at least 50 points from him. But it's just that high ceiling you're not getting.
Lowest score of 23, highest score of 105. So he started so hot last year, 77, 23, 74, 78. Do we think the Panthers are going to start hot like they did last year? I know the World Club Challenge is, I don't know how much to read into that, but
he wasn't there for the World Club Challenge, so
that's true. He was actually at the venue we were at. I don't know if you saw the video, but Timmy went up to him. It was actually me and Timmy went up to him, and he was eating dinner with his family, and I found it very invasive. I was so uncomfortable. So I said, I'm sorry, I'm leaving. And then Timmy just went on with it. But Timmy was very grateful to get the video from him. So cheers to Dylan Edwards for that. Because he's a great listener of the show. He listens to the show very often. Where were we at? So how do we think the Panthers are going to start, Matt? What's your read on it?
Yeah, the World Club Challenge wasn't pretty. St. Helens, barely got over the Dragons and then come out like they look like world beaters. But Yeah. Who do they go? They got the Bronx first round. I think that's could be
Bit
a wipe the
juicy.
floor game, or it could go. It could be really tight. Who knows what the Broncos are going to dish up really? And then the buy in round 3 makes it hard to own too many Panthers. Like if you think of it as trying to build your round 1 team with 8.5 million, that's like trying to build your round 3 team with no Cleary and no Dylan Edwards. So I think you'd struggle to get 17 good guys on the park in round 3.
I agree. It's very tough with these buys, and it's a definite different approach of SuperCoach this year. Jake, Sonny Luke, and what's the guy's name? Dylan Edwards and Liam Martin are coming back into the Panthers. Round 1, how do you see him?
I think Theory's got them. Both Clearys actually have got them kind of that they will be up there at the end of the season. I'm a bit worried that they may start a bit slow without having Appy there, no kick out. They lose it. I think Appy's going to be a big loss. I think Sonny Luke can potentially fill in a bit in that. He kind of has a very similar game to Appy. So I think maybe towards middle season, that's when we kind of see the best of the Panthers. I think they may start a little slow. After the Broncos, who I think they probably beat, they go South, bye, then Para. So they've got 2 pretty tough games either side of that bye. So if the Panthers, they could be off to a 2-4 start.
2-2,
including the bye.
All right, there's a couple more that we can talk about, and then we'll wrap it up. There's Kalen Ponga and Will Kennedy. We've already spoken about Kalen Ponga, but Jake, kick it off with Will Kennedy. What do you reckon? I'm pretty sure you've started. Matt, you started with Will Kennedy last year.
Yeah, add him to the list of guys that I owned last year. I did start with Will Kennedy. I think I kept him for sort of 5-ish rounds. They had a similar draw to probably what Newcastle and the Cowboys are looking at. So I think Will Kennedy sort of same thought process as Lockie Miller this year. But yeah, I probably don't watch Will Kennedy as close as you do, Jake, but he was good for me last year.
Yeah, I think he's very important for our attack. He's kind of the man who will kind of get the assists or the tries that Hynes won't get or Moylan won't get, because he's kind of plays both sides. He's pretty fit. But another one, I don't know. He had, was it last year that he had the 2 minus scores in a row? Didn't he get binged?
He
2
did.
games back to back.
Yeah, I jumped on him after that as well.
Oh yeah, because he was like 300K. I think at his price, I think you can go for someone who has a much higher ceiling, and Ponga is the same price. So I think, although the Sharks kind of have a pretty good draw for the entire year, you kind of want him for, like you said, a good period, which the Knights sort of have now. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I think there's better options than Willie Kennedy. I think you had him you said you got him last year, but would you start with him at all, Savs?
Oh, just the memories are so bad with Will Kennedy from last year, because I got him in at a good time, like after them 2 minus scores, Matt, and he did really well for me. I think he was scoring a couple of 60s, and then he went 80, 90, and then randomly I was so stoked. My side was nice and set. Sharks had a good draw to end the season, and I'm like, okay, this is the guy that is the difference for me. I was coming 100th or something, and I was so excited for him. I found out there was 2 guys in the top 100 that had Will Kennedy. I was one of them, and the news come out the next day that he's injured himself. So that was just a massive blow, and that's what the point of the season where I just gave up all hope, because I had no pods. There was no way I could differentiate how I was going, or at least jump up massively. So that was a real blow at the end of the season last year. So yeah, I think I've got to see a bit from him before I would consider him again. But he's that kind of guy, like him, Dylan Edwards, just these guys we're talking about, AJ Brimson. They're buy round specialists that you can always target leading into the buy rounds.
Throw in Clint Gutherson as well, even though I can't stand the bloke.
Yeah.
Para, they got the dream buy scenarios for the whole season. So here's another one. Ultimate consistency, I guess, with Edwards, but it's whether you want the king or not.
Yeah, but Matt, is he someone you would consider during the buy rounds, or is he getting on a bit and his ceiling is kind of
Yeah,
a bit
his
limited now?
ceiling's not there. His ceiling's not there, and I struggled so much to bring in Trell last year just because I can't stand the guy, and I think Gutho's probably another step above. So unless absolutely necessary, there's no way Gutho's coming in. You got to have fun with your team at some point, and I don't think I could have fun watching Gutho or cheering for Gutho.
I think that's pretty much it with the fullbacks. There are just a couple. I just want to get a yes or no. And Nick Meaney, Matt?
Yes, in the centers. Yes.
Centers as well. I was
Centers?
Centers.
Could be a keeper. Could be a keeper.
You think so?
He could be fullback for the whole year. I don't know about Pappenhausen. He might not be coming back. They might bench him for the whole year, and he's still young. And bring him back 100% next year.
And there's another one here, and I've missed him. I think we'll just finish it up there because I've lost where I'm at. But that's it. Like, I don't think you want anyone cheaper than Kalen Ponga price at 530. I think that's kind of wasting the fullback position spot because I think to start the year, whilst, you want to get the right guys in, I think fullback is too important to go cheap on. And it's always been such a high ceiling kind of position. Although I think it's going to be different this year. Matt, can I just get your quick thoughts on this? The last few years we're all kind of thinking this PVL ball is going to kick on. But the start of the year last year, we kind of slowed into the season for the points. I think it might be quite similar this year. And I think with the competition being so even now with all these good signings at the lower clubs, I think we could have the potential lowest SuperCoach scoring year in a long time. Even though, like, it might not be that far off, but I think it could be just a tad below. Yeah,
well, it's interesting you say that, actually, because Timmy and I were talking on the weekend, and I think last year I scored 30,000-ish, and I think the year Tim won, he scored like 34,000 in 2021. He beat me by like 3 rounds. And I think it was actually one less round in 2021 as well. It was 25 versus the 26 last year. So there is definitely a big regression 2021 to 22. I don't think the jump will be as severe, but Savs, I think you might be onto something there. It's not going to be as crazy high upside as it has been.
I think so too, Jake. I think a lot of us are kind of stacking the spine positions, and everyone's been like, stack the spine because that's what went well last year. But if we do come back to reality and it turns into a more defensive outlook, maybe stacking the second row or the front row with guns is going to be the way to go to get points early.
Well, I think you can't go wrong with, I guess, stacking your team with second rowers and forwards because you're going to get a high base, but you're also potentially missing on the high scoring players. But again, if we're expecting a lower scoring year, then those high scoring, center wings, fullbacks, halves aren't going to be as high. But I think everyone's really going to target, I guess, those guys that have the ceilings. If then everyone kind of moves away from that to your more consistent scorers, then that's how it's going to be. I think the one big change is they're kind of going to take away the 6 again is going to be turned into more penalties, which I think will slow the game down and be more of a defensive game. We saw in, was it 2021, I think, that it just blew out of water. Teams were getting absolutely, smashed because there was no momentum switch because it was just 6 again, 6 again, 6 again. So I think, I'm with you. I think that in terms of all the games, the closest of the competition, we might be in for a lower scoring SuperCoach season and closer games in general.
So the edge back rower.
The year of the edge back row, maybe stacking the spine is not the way to go. Get them cheapies in. Don't pass on the Isaiah Katols of the world and the Tanner Boyds of the world. Let's stack the second row. Matt, it was a pleasure having you on.
Thanks for having me, mate. Yeah, it was. I was a bit unreliable there for a bit, but finally joined, and I'll be back if you need me, mate. I'm always in.
No worries. Thank you so much for coming on. And on Tuesday, Jake, we're going to be live in studio at the 27 Project Studio in Penrith, which it's just open. It looks smick. We're going to be live at 4:15. So we're going to be live 15 minutes after TLT. Yes, we're keen, Matt. We're keen. It's going to be all over the place, the show. It's going to be wild. We're going to take
Sam's going to be salivating for like the first minutes.
So we're back to our regular time slot of 4:15 for the TLT show. So make sure to tune in there. I'll make sure to have it nice and updated. So we're going to be in studio. Make sure to be ready for that. Can't wait for TLT, lads. Let's get it. Make sure to head over to that PickleBet link and sign up if you haven't yet. And we'll release our exclusive same game multi on Tuesday. There you go. Cheers, lads.
Cheers, Tuesday.